Okay, we are on Daf Chav Zayin Amud Bet. The Gemara on the top says, page 54, if you want to count the English ones. It says, Lo keneged rabo velo achare rabo. You're not allowed to pray right next to or right besides or behind your rabbi. This is talking about your Rabbi Mavhuk, your Chacham that taught you everything you know. Tosfos brings here, because it's Gaiva. If you daven right adjacent or next to your rabbi, you're saying like you and him are what? Equal, because usually the Rav stands at the front. So it's this is actually a halacha. This is a form of Ga'ava. And Tosfot brings another very interesting reason. He says maybe it shows that you're idolizing your rabbi too much. That's why when you, that's why if you daven right besides him, behind him, it's no good. B'Tanya, Rabbi Elazar Omer Hamitpalel Acharei Rabo. Second line of the Gemara, Hamitpalel Acharei Rabo. If you pray behind your rabbi, Va'anoten Shalom LeRabbo. And if you say shalom to your rabbi, Va'machsir. So it says, Hamitpalel Acharei Rabo Va'anoten Shalom LeRabbo Va'machsir Shem Rabbo. If you say shalom to your rabbi in the regular way you tell your friend, or Hacholek al yeshivato shel Rabbo. What do? You establish a new yeshiva to go contrary to what your Rebbe's philosophy and halachot were. V'ha'omer davar shelo shama mipi Rabbo. And if there's a tradition that you learn from your Rebbe, and you do not say it in his name, all of these things are terrible. Gorem le'shechina shetistalek mi'Yisrael. All of these go and cause the Shekhinah to go away. So on the previous Amud we said Rabbi Yirmiyah prayed right next to Rav, right behind him, on Friday night by Lechadodi, by Mincha and Arvit. But how could Rabbi Yirmiyah pray right behind his rabbi? This is showing that he's trying to rebel against his rabbi, and such a person, or he says, I'm equal to my rabbi, I don't respect my rabbi, right? Because your rabbi, when you say, you have to say, Shalom Aleichem Rabbi, or Shalom Aleichem Rabbi Umori, not Shalom Aleichem, because, so it says, Shani Rabbi Yirmiyah, the Gemara answers, the Talmid Chaver Haver. Rabbi Yirmiyah was different, because he was a colleague of Rav, but he was much younger, so he was like a student and a friend. You understand? So they were contemporary kind of in age. He was just a little bit younger, so he learned a lot from Rav, but he wasn't his rabbi. He was like his older chavruta. Vainuta kamar le Rav Yirmiyah bar Abba le Rav. That's why Rav Yirmiyah tells Rav, Mi badalt. He says, did you make Havdalah? Amar le'in badalt. He says, yes. Because there's a halacha, I didn't know this halacha until a few years ago. The same way you're allowed to daven Arvit early on Friday nights, a lot of people do that in the summer, right? Like let's say it gets dark 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock, they pray Arvit 7 o'clock so they can get home. You're allowed to do the same thing on Shabbat also. You're allowed to pray, let's say you need to go to a wedding and you're going to not have a minyan on Saturday night, like the Iranians always make the wedding. So it's a very interesting thing. You're allowed to make pray Arvit on Saturday afternoon, Shabbat afternoon early. So it says, he says, and the proof is when Rabbi Yirmiyah was asking whether Rav made Havdalah on Saturday afternoon, he said, did you make Havdalah? He didn't say Mar, my master, right? So that shows that they were colleagues rather than student and Rebbe. Gemara says, Umi Badil. in truth, are you allowed to make Havdalah so prematurely even before the 3 stars come out? V'ha'amar Rabbi.
What says mibadil, mar, umibadil? Why does it repeat that?
Yeah, so no, this is how you read it. You say mibadil it. He asked Rav Yirmiyah, Rav asked Rav, when you made Havdalah early.
Mibadil, the marli. No, Badil night. Yes, I did. The lo amar mi badil.
Mar. He didn't use the title Mar.
He didn't use the title Mar.
Yeah. Gemara says now. Now, in essence, umi badil, was he factually, halachically allowed to make, say atachonen la da'am da'at if Shabbat is over 7 and he's praying Arvit at 6?
Yeah, now it's asking a different question. Got it.
Gemara says, "V'amar Ravin pam achat itpalel Rebbe shel Shabbat be'erev Shabbat v'nichnes lemerchatz v'yatza v'shana lapirkin v'adayin lo chashecha." It said one time Rebbe, what did he do? Rebbe prayed Arvit. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
On Friday night.
Erev Shabbat.
But he prayed it like Plaga Mincha time, like Rabbi Yehuda says.
And then he's nichnas lemerchatz.
Yeah, then he went and he went into the bathhouse. And he came out and then he taught us.
Mm-hmm.
So how was he allowed to take a shower on Shabbat? We don't take showers on Shabbat.
Mm-hmm.
He had already prayed Mariv, Arvit, on Friday night. He had already accepted Shabbat.
Right, on Plaga Mincha. Right. So
it says, Amarava hahu nichnas la'aziyah v'kodem gzera hava. No, Rebbe was not chas v'shalom in any way desecrating Shabbat, even rabbinically. Rebbe went into the bathhouse to sweat a little, and it was very healthy for them to sweat. And this was before Chachamim made a gzera that Shabbat, not only should you not take a shower, you should not even go inside the bathhouses to...
Because of Maritayim?
Yeah, I forgot the reason, but... They made a gzera that you shouldn't go inside to sweat there.
They call them gzera.
Gemara says, Eini, but it's not so. Vaha Abaye Shari Leila Rav Dimi Bar Lavai Lekavri Sali. It said, how is such a thing possible? But Abaye, Rashi says, La'ashan Oto Gafrit La'achar Shitpalel Shel Shabbat Be'erev Shabbat. He said, Ravi, if you look at Rashi, Rashi says, Abaye,
what is Sharale?
He allowed, gave a heter to his student to add sulfur. So perfect. What he allowed was that he allowed sulfur to sulfurate baskets, which would give them color. Now, Gemara says, Hahu tayuta have. That was a mistake. V'tayuta mihadra. So Rashi says, Tayuta have lo kibel alav tosfot Shabbat misha shetpalel midat ela yom meunan haya v'kasavur chashecha v'achar zachra chama. It says that, unfortunately, they didn't used to have clocks in the ancient times. It was a very cloudy day. They thought that it was time to pray Arvit. And lo and behold, when they came out, it was under false assumption. It was like a mekach ta'ud, so therefore it really wasn't Shabbat. That's why Abaye, when they finished Arvit, they were under the assumption that it was 3 stars. When they came out, they saw what? It was just a cloudy day. And the sun came out again. That's why Abaye allowed his student to sulfurate, basically color the basket through the sulfur. Gemara says, V'atahuta mihadra. But even if you prayed on the false premises that you thought it was prematurely night,
you have to go back.
Do we allow you to go and desecrate Shabbat after that? V'hamar avidan pam achat nitkashru shamayim ba'avin k'vesurim ha'am lomar chashecha hi v'nichnesu lebet ha'kneset v'tvalu shel Shabbat shel Motzei Shabbat b'Shabbat. He said the exact same thing happened. It was a cloudy day. They prayed Arvit on Motzei Shabbat early. V'nitparzu ha'avanim v'zarcha chama. And after they prayed Arvit, they wanted to do Havdalah. They say, oh my goodness, what happened? It's still a sunny day. You cannot make Havdalah. ובאו ושאלו את רבי ואמר, הויל והתפללו, התפללו shani. So they came back to Rabbi. Rabbi said they don't have to make a second minyan for Arvit again. Because if they prayed, they already prayed. So what do we see from here? Rashi says, Alma tefilahi. Va'af pi shelo itiru melacha hatam. Of course, they weren't allowed to make Havdalah yet because wasn't the time of night. Hatam hu de lo la'avor al divrei Torah bal le'inyan Tosfot. But the case is, in the case of Friday, when you accept Shabbat early, how could Abai, even though they were mistaken, they thought it was really night, Friday night already, al yedei tefillah oil va'amar tefillah kabbalah. It says, doesn't make sense. Once they said lechadodi and accepted Shabbat and prayed Arvit, how could Abaya let his student go work again? Mm-hmm. Because it should be a legitimate Kabbalah, right? Even if you pray at Plag, if you play, yeah, exactly. If you pray at Plag Mincha, like most people do throughout the summer and the late spring, you're not allowed to go do Malach anymore. Gemara says no. Shani sibur de lo matrichinan lehu. It says no. It's different. A sibur that we do not.
With the case of Motzei Shabbat, you mean it's different?
No, the case of.
Because it talked about Motzei Shabbat.
No, so the Gemara is saying here essentially, no. When you think that it's night and it's really not night, your Kabbalat Shabbat is not a Kabbalat Shabbat. Because it's based on a false fact. Why didn't Rebbe say, everybody, you prayed Arvit at the wrong time, so come and pray again? Right. The reason is because it's not fair. We don't do Tircha de Siburat. Since they already all prayed Arvit, now everybody went home to gather them back and make them daven Maariv again after, 3 stars came out. That we don't do. But the Gemara is coming to that conclusion. Amar Chebar Avin, Rav Sali Shal Shabbat, Rav Shabbat. So yeah, it was a common thing. They would daven, Rav hold like Rabbi Yehuda, that you're allowed to daven an hour and 15 minutes Arvit before sunset. That's why he would pray on Friday afternoon, even though it was still light, he would pray Arvit of Shabbat. Rabbi Yeshaya did the same thing, Matzli Shal Motzei Shabbat v'Shabbat. He would pray Arvit of Saturday night prematurely, even though it was still Shabbat. Wide lines. Rav Sali Shal Shabbat Rav Shabbat Omer Kedusha ala Kos or Omer Kedusha ala Kos. So are you allowed to say Kiddush that early also or not? Do you have to wait for 3 stars to say Kiddush? Gemara answers Mitpalel Adam Shal Shabbat Be'erev Shabbat. This is actually the halacha. And I know there's an unlimited amount of shuls that do this. They always pray early in the late spring. And throughout the summer, they always pray Shabbat Arvit early. And Omer Kedusha Lakos Vehilcheta Kavate. And they're actually allowed to say Kiddush also, even though there's 3 stars. It's not officially Shabbat yet.
Even though there's not 3 stars.
Yeah. And that's the halacha. Rabbi Yeshaya Matzah Shal Motzei Shabbat B'Shabbat. Omer Havdalah ala Kos or Omer Havdalah Kos. So now the opposite question. If you pray Arvit very early on Shabbat, the Arvit of Saturday night, because you're praying it at Plaga Mincha, hour and 15 minutes before Shabbat is over, do you say Havdalah after that or no? Tashem Adam Arvit Amar Shmuel Mitpalal Adam Shel Motzei Shabbat B'Shabbat V'Omer Havdalah ala Kos. Wow, fascinating thing. If you do pray Shabbat Arvit early on Shabbat for Saturday night thing, you say Atachon Antano, and you even after can say Havdalah. Obviously, you don't whip out the fire because you don't want to. You can't desecrate Shabbat. You can't desecrate Shabbat. Still 3 stars, but Havdalah you're allowed to say. So let's look up the Shulchan Aruch here. The Shulchan Aruch says a fascinating halacha. It says Mishahu Anus. כגון שצריך לחשוך על החתום לדבר מצווה, יכול להתפלל של מוצאי שבת מפלג המנחה ולמעלה להבדיל מיד. אבל לא יברך על הנר וכן אסור בעשיית מלאכה צאת הכוכבים. So this is a halacha, gepaskint, cut and dry halacha in Shulchan Aruch. If you, for example, have to go to a wedding, and for example, you're like the star witness, you're like the Rav, like a lot, like, Rabbi Shofet, like people, if you don't make the wedding, it's going to become a reform conservative wedding. So the second Shabbat is over, you need to be there to make sure everything is what? Kosher. So in such a case, so let me make something clear. Lechatchila, this is not something should be done. You should always pray Arvit of Shabbat when it's actually the time, at nightfall.
Yeah.
But if there's a emergency, like Anus, especially by you praying early, you're able to do another mitzvah of making sure that a wedding has kosher witnesses and, Therefore, you could do the whole thing. It's still an hour. It's still sunlight
from plug.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a fascinating halacha. It's still sunlight, complete sunlight. You're allowed to say Atachonen la'adam da'at Atachonantanu in Arvit, and you make havdalah. But the Shulchan Aruch says you clearly do not light any fire, and you don't work. Right? Of course, you don't.
So the advantage of doing that is just that at the moment that you have Tzeit HaKochavim, you can go.
Right, you could go, and also. You've done your havdalah. You don't need to worry about that.
Right. Even though you haven't made the bracha over me'orei ha'esh.
Yeah, you can make that later, like we do on Tisha B'av.
Yesh lanu havdalah b'toch
Yeah. So, anyways,
sidur.
That's a fascinating halacha, but important to understand that this is only b'di'evet. This is only in a case where you have no other option and you need to go do a mitzvah.
Right. So wait, going back to that case we spoke about.
Okay, moving right along in the wide lines. Amar Rav Zia, Amar Rav Asi, Amar Lazar, Amar Vuna, Amar Rav B'tzad Amud Zeh Hitpalel. They say that actually Rav prayed right next to this pillar and beside this shul. Rabbi Yishmael Be'erev Shabbat. Who did this? Rabbi Yishmael prayed Shel Shabbat Be'erev Shabbat. He prayed an early Arvit. Ki ata ula Amar B'tzad Temur Azu V'lo B'tzad Amud Zeh. Another rabbi said no. He prayed early mincha, early arvit on Friday, next to this date tree.
Who are we talking about?
Velo Rabbi Shmuel, about Rabbi Shmuel. It's just bringing proofs that you're allowed to pray an early mariv, arvit on Friday night. Velo Rabbi Shmuel bar Yossi have ella Rabbi Elazar bar Yossi. It wasn't Rabbi Shmuel, it was Elazar. Velo shel Shabbat ber Shabbat ella sali shel Motzei Shabbat. He said no, you had the story wrong. They were praying an early Arvit on Saturday night, not on Friday night. Tefilat ha'erev en lakva. It says that you can pray Arvit technically the entire night, till dawn. My en lakva, ilema de'ibai matzli kula layla litni tefilat kol halayla. Why, if it says you could pray the whole night, just say that. Kol halayla. Ela my en lakva. What does it mean that it doesn't have any establishment? This is according to the opinion that the Arvit prayer is voluntary. Rabban Gamliel says Arvit is just like Shachrit and Mincha. You have to do it. Rabbi Yehoshua says no. Omer Reshut, it's voluntary. If you want, you do. Obviously, the Shema you have to do. That's Midoraita. That's from Torah law. Amar Abaye halacha kedivra Omer chova. The halacha is actually, interestingly enough, Rava says is that you have to pray Arvit. Abaye says that. Rava says halacha kedivra Omer reshut. He says no. Tefilat Arvit is actually voluntary. Now it's if you look at the Shulchan Aruch, it's actually quite fascinating that the Rambam says that the truth is that really Tefilat Arvit, Chachamim didn't make us pray it, but the Jews themselves, Klal Yisrael, accepted it as a choba. You understand? So it became like the second day of Yom Tov, that we have to do it. But Tanu Rabbanan. So this is a fascinating question where they dethroned Rabban Gamliel. which has to do with the what we read on the Passover night. The Rabbi Lazar ben Azariah said, I'm like 70 years old, because they made him the prince of the Jews, the chief rabbi. It says there was a student that happened to be Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. The Talmid Echad, Sheba Lifnei Rabbi Yehoshua, he came innocently enough in front of Rabbi Yehoshua. Amar le tefilat arvit reshut o chova. He said, is arvit voluntary, or do we have to pray?
Mandatory. Yeah.
Amar le reshut. He said, no, it's voluntary. Ba lifnei Rabban Gamliel, amar le arvit reshut o chova. He asked him the same question. Amar le chova. He said it's obligatory. Amar le va'alo Rabbi Yehoshua amar li reshut. He said, your colleague Rabbi Yehoshua, why are you saying it's mandatory? Rabbi Yehoshua said it's voluntary. Amar le hamten ad sheichnasu baalei terisin lebet hamidrash. He said, wait till the chachamim come into the study hall. Keshenichnasu baalei terisin amar hashoel v'sha'al tefilat arvit reshut o chova. Again, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai got up in front of the bet midrash and said, gentlemen, my masters, is it arvit obligatory or voluntary? So the widest lines, Amar le Rabban Gamliel chova. Rabban Gamliel reiterated his position that is obligatory, mandatory. Amar lehem Rabban Gamliel lechachamim klum yesh adam shecholek bidvar zeh. Amar Rabbi Yehoshua lav. So Rabban Gamliel announced to the whole audience of the rabbis, does anybody argue on me? And Rabbi Yehoshua said, no, we all agree, you have to do it. But then Rabban Gamliel said, Habahalo mishmecha amruli reshut. But they told me in your name that you say that it's voluntary. Amar le Yehoshua amod al reglecha v'yedu becha amud. He said, stand up and let the pillar testify upon you. Which means first of all, I want to bring you an amazing problem with this Gemara. How could Rabbi Yehoshua lie? You understand? Rabbi Yehoshua to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in private said what? You don't need to. Then when he was questioned in front of all the Chachamim in the yeshiva, what did he say?
Chova.
He said Chova. So he said, the Mefarshim say a fascinating thing. He says, if you look in the Gemara Shabbat, it says something unbelievable. It says Reb Shimon Bar Yochai is patur from davening. You know that. He would only pray once every 30 days. Because he was on such a high, his Torah was on such a high level, right? So he said, this is the pshat. He wasn't lying. Rabbi Yehoshua agrees that generally for the general public, everybody needs to pray Arvit. But for Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai and the people that they learn 24 hours a day, right? They don't even waste a second of the day. They don't work. For such a people, they don't need to pray Arvit. But of course, 99.9% of the people that are not on that high level, 1 in a million level of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, obviously they need to pray Arvit. So anyways, the Gemara says like this. Rabbi Yehoshua got up, al raglav, amar ilmale ani chai vehu met, yachol achai lachish et hamet, v'achshav shani chai vehu chai, hech yachol achai lachish et hachai. He says, now, if I was dead and he was alive, we could argue against each other, but we're both alive. You're lying. He said, how could you misrepresent this?
Lie to me.
Haya Rabban Gamliel Yoshev v'doresh, Rabbi Yehoshua omed al raglav, ad shenenu kol ha'am v'amru lechosofid ha'karmon. So he punished him. Rabbi Shimon Gamliel started giving his shiur. Everybody was sitting, but he made Rabbi Yehoshua like a bad, like the teacher. You know how they put that cone hat on him? He said, you have to
stand up.
Stand up the whole time. So, but this was disrespectful because Rabbi Yehoshua is not a baby. He was as smart and as big a Talmid Chacham as who. So the rabbis didn't like it that he was embarrassing Rabbi Yehoshua and making him stand the whole duration of the, lecture. Mm-hmm. So they complained to Chufutzit HaTurgaman. Chufutzit was the guy that would always translate the drasha of Rabbi Gamliel. Amud va'amad amrilei ad kamen isar v'nezol. He said Rabbi Gamliel is really abusing Rabbi Yehoshua. One time Rabbi Steinsaltz spoke in Eula. He said something fascinating. He said the greatest democracy, he said Chas v'Shalom, that the Talmidei Chachamim is a theocracy. It's a really democracy. Because here we see that Rabbi Gamliel, even though he was from David, he was a great grandson of Hillel.
Of the lineage.
I mean, he was really deserving. They said, no, we don't want you to be our leader anymore because you're abusive. They said, he said, Rosh Hashanah Eshkot Saire. Last Rosh Hashanah, he made Rabbi Yehoshua violate his Rosh Hashanah to come. Again, with regarding the Bechor of Rabbi Sadok, the firstborn animal, he also abused and caused pain to Rabbi Yehoshua. This is his third time. 3 strikes, you're out. Tav and Arve, they said, listen, let's Na'avre, replace him. So they said, Man nakum they said, who should we replace him with? Should we take revenge with Rabbi Yehoshua himself? Have a nukmeta. No, that's going to be a really hard pill to solve for Rabbi Gamliel. That the person that you were in a fight with, we're going to put you aside and bring Rabbi Yehoshua to put you as your replacement. That's not nice. Le Rabbi Akiva, should we make Rabbi Akiva the head honcho? Dilma Anish, maybe the Klal Yisrael is going to get punished. Deletle zechut avot, because Rabbi Akiva was from the children of converts, and he doesn't have the merit of avot. So who should we make the king? Ela nukme le'Elazar ben Azariah. Da'ave chacham ve'washir va'ave asiri le'Ezra. He has all the accolades, right? He's a tremendous Talmid Chacham. He's the 10th generation of Ezra. He's wealthy. He's prestigious. So Gemara says, "Vehu Chacham de'imak mefarkale." It's good that he's wise because if they ask him a question, he'll answer it. Hu ashir deletle lafluchle lebekeser. He says, in case we get a problem with the government, he could go bribe them. Afu azov apalach. He could go and bribe them. And he's from the children of Ezra, which was one of the greatest leaders of Judaism. He established Israel the second time and built the second temple. He has a chut avot. Velo matzi anish, and therefore he's not going to get punished. And we have a shield. Ativ amrulei nichale lamar de lavi reish masifta. They asked him, "Do you want to be the head of the new Rosh Hashiva?" Amar lehu azil ve'imlich be'anshe beiti. He said, "Let me go ask my wife, my household." Azil ve'imlich be'dibaitu amrulei dilma marvin lecha. His wife said, "No, maybe the same way that they replaced Rabbi Gamliel, they're also going to do what? They're going to replace you also." Amar le shamish inish yom achad b'kisa demurkav l'machar litfil. He said, "No, it's better to be king one day. At least you have that prestige for one day, than not." Amar le led la chavira. Then she said another reason: you shouldn't become the Rosh Hashiva because you're so young. He was only 18 years old. Hahu yoma.
The late la
Chivrata. Chivrata means white. You have no white hairs. They're not going to respect you as a Rosh Hashiva. Right. So Gemara says a big miracle happened. That's why in the Haggadah he says, Hareini kaven shivim shana. Rabbi Abdullah says, I'm like 70 years old, and I don't know why we say Shema Yisrael every night. Why does he say, I am like 70? Because he wasn't like 70. He was really what? Younger. So Gemara says a miracle happened. Itcharish le nisa v'hadr le timnisari dari dechavinu. What happened was he got 18 rows of what? White hair. And that's why he says in the Haggadah, the Kamar of Elazar ben Azariah, Hareini kevin shivim shana velo amar ben shivim shana. He said, I'm like 70, not 70.